I'm supposed to be working. In fact, as I type this, I'm in a video conference, the first of 4 scheduled for today. I have Zoom open, and I can hear myself typing and see my face concentrating like I'm interested in what my coworkers are saying. I'm not. I've been in this meeting already, this exact same meeting. It's not that different from all the meetings I've been attending for years in person, but on the other hand, it's very different. My coworkers and I downloaded Zoom at the end of March. Our industry is not essential, so we're working from home and spending way more time video chatting than I ever imagined was possible. The last few weeks, and the coming weeks, are all a series of Zoom meetings, one after another, forever. That's not an exaggeration. I can't get out of these. Sometimes I talk, sometimes I don't. It doesn't matter what I do or say. The next meeting scheduled, all the meetings scheduled, go exactly the same way. People say what they have already said and say what they're going to say. I sign out of one only to find myself signing into another. Just now, as a test, I signed out and simultaneously re-signed in. Now this meeting has restarted from the beginning, and everyone is saying the same things they've already said. I am too. I can see my face on the screen, clean-shaven, hair combed, and I have the same engaged expression I always have in these mid-April meetings, though that expression changes over the next few weeks. All I can see is my laptop screen, though nothing in my periphery, and I can't look away from it. Next to the Zoom window is an open email that lists the scheduled meetings from early April until the end of next month. With a click, I can sign into any of them, past, present, or future, but I don't like the meetings that occur next month. In them, my coworkers talk about disturbing things, a mutating virus, mass deaths, and society breaking down. Many of them look ill, and there are fewer attendees the further into the future we go. The last meeting scheduled is the end of next month. I signed into that one once. I was the only person there. From the camera's point of view, I'm frantically typing. I look terrible, and even though it's a work meeting, I'm not wearing a shirt. My face and shoulders, lit by the screen, have a bluish tint, and I look shockingly thin. My hair is a greasy mess, my eyes red and shining, and I look like I haven't shaved for a while. Behind me, my apartment is dark, boards nailed over the windows, and you can see small things scurrying in the corners. My mic is on, and I hear myself typing, and the sound of my congested breath, interrupted by deep, racking coughs. From outside the boarded windows, I hear faint air raid sirens, crazed laughter, and, I think, screams. This meeting, though, the meeting I'm in now, takes place in mid-April. I like this one a lot, and I keep coming back to it. Everyone seems okay. In the camera, I look fine too. A little pale, perhaps, but we've been spending a lot of time indoors this month, so that's normal. I am typing this note in a chat window, and I'll try to figure out a way to share it. I want to get the word out that I'm safe in here. I've seen what the future holds, and I'm not the one in danger. All of you are. I have sleep paralysis. It's worse now that I live alone. Since moving into my own apartment, a new shadowy figure has become the primary haunt of my episodes. When I lived with my parents, I usually wouldn't see anything. I'd just feel a weight on my chest. Now I see shadowy figures, or I'll know that there are shapes standing just outside my line of sight. It's all made worse because the streetlights outside cast an eerie glow in my room that makes the shadows stand out in stark contrast. It's hard to keep my attention off of them. One paralysis demon in particular really freaks me out. a tall, shadowy figure with limbs that are too long and a crooked neck that makes its head almost lean onto its blurry shoulder. The head is more clear than the body, and it has multiple, almost cartoonish eyes covering the space where its face should be. It never really moves, but I can see the rise and fall of its chest and shoulders, like it's breathing deeply. It scared me so badly the first night I saw it, but I sort of got used to it after the 5th or 6th time. I know it was just a figment of my imagination, and usually I can just close my eyes until I start to move again, and it vanishes when I can turn my head. My new apartment was dirt cheap because it was in a bad neighborhood. Since I'm paranoid, I have multiple locks on my doors and windows. My bedroom door has the standard lock and a sliding lock near the top. I never lock my bedroom door because I like to be able to flee the room quickly after I snap out of the paralysis. One night, I jolted awake and my eyes snapped open, but my body was locked in place. I could hear a dull banging sound coming from somewhere else in the apartment. I frantically tried to make myself move, working on my breathing exercises while trying to twitch my fingers and unclench my jaw. I could see the creepy shadow person breathing calmly as it watched me struggle, but I was too worried about the noise to care about its presence. Then, there was the sound of glass breaking from what must have been the laundry room. Now it felt like my heart was about to break out of my chest, and I could see my bedroom door out of the corner of my eye unlock. Tears began to well up in my eyes, and my vision became blurry as I was unable to tilt my head or wipe them away. Frantically blinking to try and clear my vision, and struggling in my mind to count the seconds, and struggling to figure out how long I'd been paralyzed, I heard footsteps approaching my door, and a man's voice muttering something I couldn't make out. I was trapped. A stranger was approaching my bedroom door, and the thing in the corner drank it all in as I struggled against a paralysis. I was sobbing now, making choked, muffled noises that I was sure the intruder could hear. Then, the shadow figure in my corner moved. I watched it with blurry eyes as it slowly twisted its bent neck to look towards the door. It took an awkward, shuddering lurch forward, though from what I could see, its legs didn't move. It sort of glitched towards my door. This was the first time I'd ever seen it move, the first time I've ever seen it take its weird cartoonish eyes off of me, and I've seen this exact figure in the same exact spot over a dozen times over the few months since I've moved in. I rationalized it as my brain realizing that I couldn't move and trying to reach the door anyway through this vision. Maybe it meant that I was coming into awareness and I'd be able to move soon. I tried to move my head and managed a small twitch, but I still couldn't break free. The muttering was closer, and it wasn't coherent enough for me to make out what the guy was saying, but it didn't sound like he was moving at all, and I hoped whatever he was talking about kept him distracted long enough until I could move. The shadow figure moved again. It sort of looked like it melded to the wall right next to my door, and I could see its long, spindly fingers twitch against the surface of the wall near the door frame. I tried to swallow my sobs and kept blinking to clear my eyes. I could see the shadow lift its arm until its long fingers were almost covering the doorknob, as if to open it. I then heard a loud click that echoed in my head, the sound of the lock turning. I must be imagining it, I thought, my brain's way of trying to calm me or pretend that I'm safe. My eyes were glued to the slim hand of the shadow figure as it released the doorknob and reached up further. The glow of the streetlights outside reflected off the knob, and it almost seemed like it was turned in the locked position. The shadow figure kept raising its arm in slow, jerky movements until its sharp fingers were hovering above the sliding lock. A sudden calm washed over me, and I had a sort of out-of-body experience. Suddenly, it was like I was standing near the door, and I could see in clear detail the odd ridges and groves of the shadow's figures, sort of like sharpened rusted metal, but pitch black. I could see the way it pinched the little bar of the sliding lock, moving it up out of the first grove, and sliding the bar into place. As the metal bar was locked into place and properly locked, I snapped back into my body. I could twitch my fingers, and turned my head a bit. The shadow figure was gone. I relaxed my body, and my jaw unclenched. I heard my doorknob rattling, and I jolted into a sitting position. The intruder tried the doorknob, but it was locked. I reached for my cell phone, and somehow, despite the tremble of my fingers, I managed to dial 911. The operator walked with me through the experience, and I stayed calm while I barricaded the door with my desk chair and hid in the closet while the man continued to rattle the handle, bang against the door, and loudly swear in a slurred voice. Luckily, it didn't take long for the police to arrive, apprehending the man who thankfully was unarmed and obviously on some sort of potent drug. I told my story to the officers, that I slept with my door locked, and obviously didn't mention the sleep paralysis demon. I then stayed at a friend's house for a couple nights until the broken window was repaired. I didn't really process what had happened until a few days later. I tried to tell myself it was a dream, and the bedroom door was already locked, despite the fact that I've never slept with the door locked before. When I couldn't think of a better explanation, I tried to look up a history of the apartment, but it was pretty fruitless. There had never been a death in the building. The previous tenants had never complained or anything weird, and no one had moved out shortly after renting it. Obviously, my insomnia has gotten worse. I tried to avoid sleeping in my apartment for as long as I could, staying with a few friends until they got sick of my paranoia and sent me home. I tried sleeping during the day, and I did get sleep paralysis then, but all I had was a weight on my chest, like the old days. When I did settle in my room last night, I locked the bedroom door, left the closet light on even though the light from outside kept it bright enough at night, and tried to sleep. I woke up, frozen in place, scared but not surprised. I let my eyes drift to the corner and froze. This time, the shadow figure wasn't just eyes. It had a sideways mouth just beneath its eyes. The head tilted just enough to make the smile perfectly straight and positioned like a mouth would be on a normal face. And it was smiling.